Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now today I want to talk about space. No, not the vacuum between a politician's ears, but the one outside the Earth's atmosphere. Now, as most of you are aware, Russia has a long and distinguished history in space exploration and research. From the launch of the world's first ever satellite, Sputnik, back in 1957, to the early 1960s, sending Yuri Gagarin and Valentina Tereshkova into space as the first man and woman ever to do so. Then in the 1970s and 80s, launching a number of successful space stations, particularly the Mir station, which preceded the current International Space Station, which is now coming to the end of its useful life. So with that in mind, Russia's initiating the construction of a new Russian orbital space station to replace the current and aging International Space Station, with the first modules scheduled for launch into space in 2027. Now this ambitious project is going to comprise 6 modules at an estimated cost of 609 billion rubles, which is about $9 to $10 billion, making it approximately a quarter cheaper than the Chinese Tiangong station. However, Russia's ambitions in the field of cosmonautics and aeronautics, particularly in the area of deep space exploration, are going to necessitate the reliance on nuclear energy and resources and space biotechnology. Now, at the plenary session of the Korolev readings on the 28th of January, Vladimir Solovov, who's the general designer for manned space systems and complexes at the Russian Space Center, announced that the first scientific and power module, which will initiate the construction of the new Russian orbital station, is scheduled for launch in December 2027. Now this timing coincides with the predicted increase in the frequency of the interruptions in the operation of the International Space Station systems. It's already known that the orbital station is going to be created in 2 stages. The first stage is scheduled before 2030, will involve the launch and the docking of 4 different modules in space. Now the first of these 3 modules is a life support module. Its primary function is to generate electricity, power and oxygen supply for the entire station, as well as the control of water supply, sanitation and sewage. The base module will accommodate up to 4 astronauts, the gateway module and the universal node module, and they're scheduled to be docked to the life support module around the same time. The latter is intended to function as the centre for the entire station. All the other stage segments will be docked at this location. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, SCOBRICSinsight.com, to further develop it. And by the way, I thank all of you who've been doing that already. You can do this by making a small donation, which can be done by clicking the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and thank you to everybody who has already donated and continues to donate. I really do appreciate it. Finally, the second stage in 2031 to 2033, the new station is planned to be expanded by 2 target segments. The rationale behind this expansion is clear. This is because about the same time a platform receiving and sending spacecraft of various purposes, including to the moon, as well as for the further studying of deep space, is planned to be docked at the new station. Now, the primary distinguishing feature of the new Russian station will be its location in the so-called high latitude or polar orbit with an inclination of 96.8 degrees. This will enable the space station to traverse the entirety of the Russian territory, as well as the polar regions of the planet, which are inaccessible from the International Space Station due to its 51.6 degree orbital inclination. Now, the creation of the Russian orbital station will require sending up a total of 34 launch vehicles, according to Vladimir Kuznetsov, who's the general designer of the space station systems. 15 launches of the heavy vehicles of the Angara A5M type and 19 launches of the medium-class launch vehicles of the Soyuz 2.1 type are planned. Initially, Progress transport cargo ships are scheduled to be launched from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, with all the subsequent launches taking place at the Vostochny Cosmodrome starting in 2030. Now, the estimated cost of creating the space station is about 609 billion rubles, or about 45 billion yen, or $7 billion. This is about a quarter the cost of Chinese manned space station and 20 times cheaper than what the International Space Station cost for all the other participating countries, including the US. The initial 3-year plan for the new station was allocated at 1.6 billion. However, the collaboration with the Finance Ministry has allowed it to postpone a number of events that they will be financed at a later date. At the time of the parliamentary hearings in the State Duma in 2024, Yuri Borisov, who's the CEO of Roscosmos, stated that contracts worth approximately 97 billion rubles had been prepared and signed. That's just over $1 billion. So Russia does seem to be getting a serious bang for its buck in value for money compared to the spending on the space program of the USA, which doesn't actually achieve very much. Now, Borisov also mentioned the government contracts have been signed for the implementation of experimental design work on the creation of the space station complex and other modules with a manned transport ship and heavy class launch vehicle Angara at the Vostochny Cosmodrome. Now, perhaps the most significant element of the space station and its equipment is a base station for the forming of a swarm of small controlled aircraft. This will be like unmanned drone spacecraft, outlined by Viktor Kharkov, who's the designer of automated space systems and complexes at Roscosmos. Says the station will possess the capability to swiftly deploy, service and maintain small aircraft for research purposes. Alexander Zelyanyakov, who's an academic at the Russian Academy of Cosmonautics, has told that the space station will launch a group of automatic satellites for remote sensing of the Earth from the station. So this will enable enhanced observation of the frequency of specific areas and address information gaps that can't be obtained from the station itself. The new station itself is an important step towards Russia's return to the forefront of manned space exploration, and Russia truly requires such a station. Without such a station, the future of Russia's manned space exploration could be at risk, says Zelensky Yarnov. However, it's clear that this is not sufficient to explore deep space. To explore the Moon and Mars, humanity must overcome two major technological challenges. The first is related to the use of nuclear energy in space, where they've already encountered significant problems. Currently, there are no operational modules of nuclear reactant engines that are suitable for use in spacecraft in either the United States or Russia, no matter how hard they've tried. I mean, the primary challenges are installing a nuclear engine on a spacecraft is the size and weight of the engine. According to Pavel Bulat, who's head of mechanics and engineering and energy systems at the National Research University of Russia, engineers are going to have to achieve a significant reduction in the scale of a nuclear power plant to ensure it can be launched into space without the loss of power using existing methods. The current weight makes launching a unit unfeasible, and it's unlikely that nuclear will be used any time in the near future unless there's a major breakthrough. Now, the other challenge is how to sustain life in space, ensuring the viability of human habitation and reproduction, according to Andrei Ionin, who's an advisor to the General Director of the Geoscan Group. He emphasised that the challenge lies in the absence of concerted efforts to address these barriers, which demand a level of commitment comparable to that exerted by the USS and the USA in the initial space era. That was before the moon landing back in the 60s. So there's many challenges that need to be overcome in the future. But the new International Space Station of Russia is carrying on the traditions going back some 50 years to the days of the space station Mir, and Russia continues to be at the forefront of space research and developing technology. Now, thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and if you want to help me out, click on the thanks button and make a small donation. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.